Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Stella Herself podcast. As always, don't forget to share a screenshot or an aesthetic pic or boomerang or video on your Instagram story and tag me. I would love to see what you guys think and your aesthetics, and if you have a pet cat, I would love to see them. And yeah, I just had to restart this because quick story time. Sat down to record, checked my email right before, and I got an email from my apartment building that said there was gunshots on the front street, so the police are blocking off the main entrance. I was interesting. I've just been in my apartment, preparing, FaceTiming Bougie Billy, and oh, I didn't know that was going on. So there was some traffic sounds. I did not hear any sirens or anything, but I had to restart because there was just too many. I don't really like to cut the podcast if I don't have to, but if I'm if there's sirens, really loud noises, or I'm just taking too long to get to the next topic, thinking, it's I'll cut it. But yeah, it was just too much, so we're starting over, but I honestly feel better about my decision. Life in the big city, am I right? Comment, if you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below what city you live in and how you like living there. I was doing some errands this weekend, just kind of walking around, and I was just damn, I really just miss New York, or I don't know, even watching Emily in Paris, which I did finish season 2. I was just damn, I miss Paris. I miss, the European cities that I have been to, and New York was the closest thing I've felt to that in the United States. But just that vibe, of people actually walking around, and so many roads are pedestrian friendly, and shops are meant for people, not cars. And there's actually this TikTok account, if I can find it, because I don't remember his at all. He'll just come up on my For You page sometimes. I think I follow him, so I'll try to find it. But he's in LA, and it's actually so fascinating. He makes all these videos about just city laws and housing and different stupid things that exist in LA. The reason LA is such a sprawl is that so many, I think it's over 80% of housing has to be single family homes. And you can't have, so that means you can't have apartment buildings over businesses, which is how, most of the regular world works. And then it's you can just walk down to the local shop, walk here, but no, they have to have single family homes, which just means one house, and you have to drive everywhere, and the roads are not made for people to walk, and it's just the worst. I'm yeah, I literally hate it. So where I live, it's probably the closest thing I could get to that in LA, but it's just not enough, and it's just and then I just saw this tweet of someone I follow who was visiting LA, and they were every time I come back to LA, I'm so grateful for how much better every other city's downtown is. And it's literally, it's disgusting. So it's just interesting. I don't know, just quick reflection. If you don't drive, raise your hand. Just ew, bro, I don't want that lifestyle. I like taking a quaint walk to the shops. Anyway, hopefully we can do some more traveling this year. Yeah, wow, dude. So how has your first couple weeks of the new year, new month been? I still feel on a good, I feel good. I guess I feel momentum. I don't feel so, oh my God, new year, new me. But I'm sure after the retrograde, things will feel a lot oh, new vibes. Because it's Venus retrograde right now, and I think at the time of this podcast going up, Mercury will be retrograde. So y'all know the deal. Venus, we already talked about Venus retrograde, I think, in a recent podcast, because it's been retrograde since December. But Venus is the planet of love, relationships. So when that's retrograde, we're going to be reevaluating our values and things around those aspects of our life. So when Mercury is retrograde, Mercury is the planet of communication, technology, things like that. So when it's a retrograde, the planet appears to be traveling backwards. around the earth. So we might have difficulties or troubles, or just it might feel a little annoying. Things might not flow as smoothly. Things related to communication, you might get the date wrong of something. Old like people or just like circumstances may come up, old issues, and you may be reevaluating them or gain a new perspective. And especially, y'all know on Instagram, especially, I talk all the time, not all the time, but I'll be like, oh, did you guys have any TBTs come back? Like, which TBTs have come back this retrograde? Something I've read this once. I have definitely said this before, but I think it's just a good reminder for these retrograde time of years. Just because somebody comes back into your life, that doesn't mean that's a sign that they need to be in your life again. Like, sometimes I feel like people come back, or even like if it's a new person, but they have a lot of the same traits as like an ex, or like someone who used to be friends with, or someone who's no longer in your life, it can be an opportunity to reevaluate, okay, well, what attracted me to this person, or why didn't this work out, or whatever. And I mean, that's not to say that it's always going to be a no. Like, sometimes you may, I don't know, you might realize something and maybe you do end up back together and decide to give it another shot. Like, but just being sure that you're like being reasonable. Like, don't get back with a dumb ass, okay, bitch? I'm watching you. So yeah, also just on the topic of that, y'all know I've talked a lot on this podcast about boundaries and really sticking up for yourself, learning how to stick up for yourself and put your own needs and wants first. And I think this example, or this topic, is a really great example of that. If anybody, but just because someone wants to be in your life again, that doesn't mean that you have to agree or be like, okay, yeah, like, let's reconvene, let's give it a shot. And I know a lot of the times, at least for me, but I know a lot of people will relate, it's not like, when faced with a situation like this, it's not like I will consciously be thinking, well, they want me back in their life, I don't, but I'm going to put their needs before mine and give it a shot. So often it shows up in ways like, oh, well, like, I know for me, this has happened multiple times. Someone will ask me out, or like, I don't know, want to take me on a date, and I don't feel 100% about them, but I've kind of realized that my brain will disguise, I don't know, maybe discomfort, or like I'll basically talk myself out of feeling like, oh, this is a no. Like, I'll be like, well, what if this is, meant to be? Or like, am I being too picky? Like, there's no harm in just giving them a shot. Or like, what's the harm of just going on one date? But my original gut feeling was like, I'm not really interested in them. Like, but it just wasn't almost loud enough for me to really pay attention to it. And like, sometimes you go on the date and it's fine, but then later on, it's like, I'll realize, oh, there was actually this little red flag, or like, oh, I just didn't honestly really like them, or like, they're actually kind of annoying, or like, oh, they have actually some major red flags, So for me, a big thing has been picking up on like the little cues my brain gives me. Like, if I start thinking like, oh, well, what if like I think later down the line, like, oh my God, I'm so glad I had gone on that date when I didn't want to at first. Like, it's like, well, is that an actual concern or fear of yours? Or are you just uncomfortable to tell them no, and like, you actually don't feel the same way as them, So just kind of checking in with yourself. And same for if a TBT just reaches out and is like, hey, how have you been? Or like, just tries to come back in your life some way, and I don't know, maybe they're not the person for you, they're a bad person, maybe they're toxic, you don't need to reply. Like, you don't owe them anything, because sometimes if someone came back, I would be like, well, I want to be polite, I don't just want to not reply, so I'll just be dry, I just won't like really engage, but I'm still going to reply. And it's like, that's still putting energy into it. So you can just honestly not reply. If you don't feel like replying, you don't have to reply. And that is like truly being honest with yourself. And obviously take this with a grain of salt, and like every situation is different, and maybe sometimes the best thing to do is like hear somebody out. But I know especially a lot of the time with straight men that maybe you once dated or had a situation with, or even a relationship, a lot of the times I feel comfortable saying a blanket statement of like, just if you don't want to reply, don't reply. And maybe it may be a little different like with a friend, or like, I don't know. I think the thing is like recognizing in yourself when you're resisting confrontation, or like, I don't know, if an ex-friend reaches out and wants to talk, are you like scared to be honest and vulnerable and talk about maybe a situation that didn't go down well? Or are you genuinely like, I know that this isn't gonna go anywhere, and I just would rather not put any effort or like energy towards it, and I think it just takes a lot of reflection and going back to times where like situations that have already fully happened. So like with the dating thing, every time I've thought I haven't been like 100% enthusiastic about seeing somebody or going on a date with somebody, but I went anyway, it's never ended up well. So now I know, like, okay, I can think, like, if someone asked me on a date today and I just was not 100% about it, I would think back to the last time that happened where I did, in fact, go on the date, and I would, like, just think about how I felt. Like, okay, the immediate feeling when they asked me out, I just feel like my heart kind of drops. I'm just like, ugh. But then I start talking myself out of it. Like, oh, no, well, you should go. If anything, you just get out of the house. Like, oh. And then, you're on the date. Sometimes I would not even recognize the red flags until, like, a few days after the date. And I feel like so often that can just be, your body just trying to get you through. But then I'll, like, be in the shower, and I'll just have a little thought pop into my brain. Like, do you remember when they said this? Or, like, and it's like not a paranoia feeling, or like I'm thinking hard about it or stressing about it. It's just like, oh, that actually made me feel like this, or like that actually made me uncomfortable, or that actually made me. And then it's like, now I have to deal with saying no to them the next time they ask me out, and they already think I'm interested because I went the first time. So why did I just not listen to myself right away? You see the point. Or like with, I don't know, with friends, I feel like, okay, this is what I've really learned. I feel like not necessarily first impressions are everything, but first feelings, like, okay, maybe, because I think it is true, the day you meet someone, maybe they're having an off day, or maybe their outfit just wasn't that cute that day because it was laundry day. Like, there's those type of things that's like, okay, it doesn't really matter. But the way you feel around someone for the first time, and sometimes it's so subtle you can barely even tell. Like, if, I don't know, maybe you met like a sociopath, and, or a guy that turned out to be very abusive, but when you first met them, they were so charming and like nice, and just, everyone was so in awe of them, and you felt swept away by them too, and you're like, oh my god, I have this magical feeling I've never felt with anyone. It's like, it's actually just they're like psychotic. But it's like you can go back to like the genuine feeling. Like, is it dis-ease? Is it uncomfortable? Is it like like you can kind of tell something's off about this person, even though they're putting on this like grand performance and like everyone is shook by them. Like, so that's kind of been like something I've worked on, have been working on. It's still like an active process, but just like learning to trust my intuition and trust myself, but actually breaking it down into like how to do that. Because I feel like, we hear that sometimes, but we don't always know what it means. Like, how do I distinguish intuition from just my anxiety brain, And I think we just really need to listen to our bodies. You guys know I talked last podcast about the book My Body by Emily Ratajkowski, and towards the end, she's like writing about an appointment with her therapist, and her therapist was like trying to get her to do this exercise where I think she was throwing like a glass bottle at a wall or something to like, relieve anger, to just like push anger out, because the therapist had asked her like, how do you deal with your anger, and she was just like, I don't. So she's like she feels stupid, she's throwing the bottle at this wall, it's not breaking, and then the therapist was like, think about someone you have a lot of anger towards, or like someone who you just really despise. So she thought about it, took a moment, visualized whatever. She didn't say what she visualized, but then she threw the bottle and it broke finally. And the therapist was like, see, the body knows. So that's the difference. Like if you think about something or someone and your body has a reaction, like, oh, I feel that in my stomach, or like I get the creeps, or like, yeah, like your heart drops, your stomach drops, whatever the saying is. Whatever you like feel, that is like something to kind of lean into and trust, versus I feel like, even though I can have physical symptoms of like anxiety or like stress, it's like those thoughts just kind of feel like thoughts like bouncing around, versus like an actual like my body trying to tell me like something is off about this, or I'm not comfortable, or like no. And it's just like, let me know if you relate. What was the point of that? The point was to not text back TBTs if they give you a bad feeling. Also, I've learned, sometimes it's just better to not engage, because sometimes I know we have that curiosity of like, oh, what do they want? What do they want to, what are they going to say? Or like, oh, what's going to come of this? But then it's like, okay, well, if someone is texting you, if someone from the past is texting you, they want something from you, they want you back in, not always. Sometimes, someone genuinely wants to apologize or talk about a situation or make things right. You will probably be able to tell the difference. But just that vibe, especially bros. They're like, hey, how have you been? Like, I just really miss you. I fucked up so bad. It's like, do I want to deal with that again? No. So I'm not going to put any energy into even replying, because it's like, if I'm replying, they're going to take that as an invitation to like move forward, or like, yeah, we're like one step closer to actually being reunited, or like having each other in each other's lives again. And it's like, if I don't want that, I'm not going to put anything towards that. So there's your pep talk, I guess, kind of. Don't reply to the disgusting TBT. So comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube, but if you feel so inclined, what's a time you realized your intuition was talking to you, and I guess like what did that feel like in your body? It's always like the next day or a couple days after, I'm like, wait. So the goal, and this is like what I've been working on, is to sync up my body and mind so that I recognize when I'm uncomfortable, or like realize something that makes me feel just like, oh, this isn't for me, in the moment, instead of like a few days later. I mean, it can like definitely be hard, because sometimes your body tells you something and you just, I don't know, like I'm usually not, sometimes your body will tell you something in the moment, but you don't even realize of what that it's even telling you something, or like what it is it's telling you, or whatever. So that's when things like yoga can really help, because you're coordinating and like aligning your mind and body. That's kind of like the point. It's like, oh, this actually is helpful. Oh, this isn't just like a fun accessory workout. Like this is actually like helping me in my interpersonal relationships. Like, oh, and just like coming back to your breath, like syncing your breath with your movement and with your body. You can do that in working out as well. It just makes the workout so much better. But then it's like teaching you to be aware of how your body feels, and when you're paying attention to your breath, it's like syncing with your body. It's like that's your mind. You're syncing with your body because that's what you're paying attention to, bro. So let me know if you've ever experienced that. But yeah, also we have a little espresso today, y'all. I've really been trying to do less coffee. I have been drinking beef beef bone broth in the morning. It's only been like a week, so I can't really say if it's done anything crazy. But I definitely want to keep doing that. I kind of need to get groceries. I'm like at that stage where I could, but I also could go, but I just won't be able to, like I don't have any really fun foods in the house except for like some candy, but that's not really like substantial. So I really want to get Mexican food from this place. Oh my god, I keep ordering. I've ordered it like 4 times now, which I don't know, I just don't like. I'll definitely get in certain moods with a food. But I have not really found any restaurants on like delivery apps that I really, really love, especially recently. And this food was like crazy. Like the first time I got my specific order, it's like this, what even is it? It's like this chili lime or like chipotle lime chicken with like beans and rice, and the beans and rice are so good, and it comes with tortillas on the side and like guac and pico. And then I also got fries, and the fries were like literally the best fries ever. And then it also came with chips. And then I also got 2 tacos. And then, oh my god, I think I put it in a vlog. But bro, it was so good. Like, I have not been that shocked by food in so long. So I'm kind of thinking about doing that today, but I don't know. We'll see if I like deserve it, you know? But can I just say, this past Sunday, I had such a good clean with me. Like I had just had the perfect Sunday. I woke up, I went to Target pretty much right away, and that's when I was like walking, kind of thinking about my life. Like, I wish there was more bitches walking right now. Got a like kind of restocked on some cleaning items. Let me know, are you a chemical cleaner or are you a vinegar cleaner? Because I definitely grew up in the natural cleaning products, in a natural, just like a natural products home, period, bitch. And it would be funny because sometimes I would like go to the regular grocery store, like it wasn't a Kroger, but they kind of the same vibe. I don't even know if Kroger owns them, but I would go there like only with my dad, and sometimes we'd get like a chemical product. Like I just always had to like go with my dad, but overall like very natural. Like my mom would clean with vinegar, you know. Sometimes we would get Windex, but that was like crazy. She'd be like, well, you could just do it with like the vinegar. I don't want to smell the vinegar. Like, I'm sorry. I still get a lot of natural products, you know, especially with like more body products. I try to be natural. Anyway, I think it's also the pandemic, but I just love like a chemical. I love a bleach. I love the smell of bleach. I love like a good Mr. Clean floor cleaner. I want to make sure it's clean. I think it's especially with the pandemic, you know, I just really want to make sure everything's disinfected, and yeah, but I'm not using that stuff like every day. And then I have my just normal like household cleaners throughout the week. But anyway, I restocked on my chemicals and did all my laundry, washed my sheets. It was just like finally a good clean because I wasn't here last weekend. Like I got back on Monday. So it was my first Sunday of the new year. Oh my god. And then I got some work done. I took like a mini nap. Then I watched Euphoria, and then I took a bath in my clean tub and watched old Kardashians, like season 3, I think, maybe season 2, season 4, one of the early seasons. And I slept so good. I read my book even before bed. It was just like the perfect Sunday. And I just love that. So let me know, are you a chemical cleaner or not? This is where it gets overboard. There was this girl, I don't even know who it was. I only saw one TikTok on my For You page. Like, it was probably almost 2 years ago at this point. But it just gave me a headache. It was like a clean with me video. But the amount of, I think what it was, first of all, she used so many different chemical cleaning products. And it's like, you really don't need that much. And I don't know if she was mixing them, but you know, when you mix cleaners, like you can literally die. So, but I think what it was is she just had so many different, like, you know, the Febreze sprays. She had like the regular ones, but then also ones specifically for the upholstery. And then just all these like Glade plugins or like something like that, and it was just like the video gave me a headache. Like, and it's so funny because my mom would always talk about that. Like, I remember my first perfume or like, you know, body spray. It was probably, I know I had one from Hollister, and that one was like so potent. And then I had one of the little like pink Victoria's Secret ones, and like the rectangle with like the pink bottom and like the turquoise lid. I would still wear that today. That honestly, well, I don't know. I just remember it smelled really good. And my mom would be like, oh my God, those chemical scents are giving me a headache. You guys need to stop. You're disgusting. And me and my sister would always make fun of her. But now I'm literally like that. Like with my scents, like I have my lavender essential oil over there right now. And I have my beeswax candle. Like sometimes any candle, like it just has to be a nice, normal scent. Even with my perfumes, you know, I like natural, like sandalwood smelling ones. Like I don't like anything too just fake smelling, like I don't know, and I guess that's like good, but it's just like also kind of annoying. But yeah, that TikTok, I swear it gave me a headache. Like most clean with me is, you know, even if they're using the chemical cleaning products, it's like, oh yes, I know it smells so fresh and clean in there, and just like love to see it, you know. Even if they light their candle at the end, it's not a Glade plug-in at every outlet with 30 different Febreze sprays, and I know there was more. Like it was like to the point where the comments were full of people being like, girl, like you don't need that much. Like what smells so bad that you're trying to cover up? Like, dude, like I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. Like, oh my God, it was actually horrifying. So that's my life. But anyway, before we get to the next, I feel like today I had a lot of like little topics, but I have kind of one main topic, kind of. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk about my new book I started, y'all. Are you proud of me or what? Some of you who follow me on Goodreads, and by the way, I just use Goodreads to track my books. So if you're looking for like, oh, I can't wait to read Stella Ray's essays about every book she's ever read, that's not what's on there. Like, I just will log the books. And even last year, I was not good at that. Like, so I'm trying to get better because I really do want to try to read at least one book a month this year. And I'm pretty well stocked. I have 3 books ready to go after this. So that's at least 3 months. Hopefully less. Hopefully I read more than 1 book a month like I have in January, because I read My Body in 2 days. This is called 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. And it's so funny. You guys are going to LOL. It was a #1 New York Times bestseller, but I don't know if you remember Kelsey from High School Musical. And you may be thinking, what are you talking about? Kelsey from High School Musical, I don't know what inspired me to look her up, but this was like last year. I just looked at the actress's IG. I don't know why. I think because she was kind of a main character, but like, I don't know. I feel like she was never really at the level of like, you know, Vanessa Hudgens or Ashley Tisdale. Like, I just never really heard much about her after the movies, so I don't know why she popped into my head one day, but I decided to look her up. And I was like, damn, I specifically tweeted like I want to be friends with her, because her IG was like very aesthetic, and she had all these different books. I don't know if it was one post with a bunch of different books, or like she kind of posted books like throughout her whole IG, but I was like, she seems woke. She seems like an intelligent young woman. So proud. But this was one of the books. Like, I remember writing down a bunch of the books that she had on one of these photos, and this was one of them. So now I'm finally reading it. So thank you so much, High School Musical, for supplying me with this knowledge. But this is a novel. Is it a novel? I think it's based... It is about 3 women. I think it's based on 3 actual women. Based on 8 years of immersive research. Yeah. So it's kind of like novel vibes, but I guess kind of based on true vibes. Today, this is from the New York Times. Taddeo spent a decade immersed in the sex lives of 3 ordinary American women. The result is the most in-depth look at the female sex drive and all its accompanying social, emotional, reproductive, and anthropological implications that's been published in decades. And yeah, it is really good, and it was kind of a great read right after My Body, which, was kind of a memoir. I mean, I guess it is a memoir, right? I mean, it's not a memoir in the sense of like, it's not an autobiography, but it's like memoir vibes, Just a lot of the same kind of themes, sex, body objectification, interactions with men, just a lot of really relatable topics. And I'm about a third of the way through. And so it kind of goes like there's a chapter about one of the women, next woman, and then it goes back to the first woman. And it's funny because as I'm reading, I'll be like, so immersed in whichever story it is. And then it's like, oh, time for the next woman. And I'm like, ugh, I don't even care about her anymore. Like, she's boring. Like, I just want to keep reading about this one. But then I start reading it. I'm like, oh my God, no, this one's so good. So they're all like, it's obviously 3 different women, 3 different stories and experiences, but there's just a lot of coexisting themes. And I'm excited to keep reading it. Like, this is something I have actively been reading pretty much every day, like it's actually, I want to say entertaining, but that sounds like it's not like super lighthearted or anything, but it's like pretty easy to read, which to me tells me that it's actually of interest and immersive. So let me know if you've read it or if you want to start reading it. And yeah, I know a lot of you like when I talk about books, so I'm not even going to ask, should I keep talking about my books? Because I am going to, okay. But yeah, I will also track them on Goodreads, so you can keep track of them there as well, if you wish. Not really like book club vibes, because I just, honestly, that sounds like a lot of pressure, but it's like, if you want to also read it and let me know what you think, let me know. Yeah, so I guess it is nonfiction. I don't know. But it's really good. I'm excited to read it today. So would recommend. I will link it down below. I got it on Thrift Books, so I'll link it there, but I'll also put the Amazon link. Boom. So I wanted to talk about today being present, and more specifically in the sense of when we're stressed out, how can we not feel that? I was doing a poll on my IG this morning about, just kind of a check-in, like, how do you feel? Like, are you still feeling the New Year's vibes? Blah, 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 blah. You know how I do. I love an IG story poll. And one of the questions I put was, have you been more stressed out since the pandemic? And for a while, it was 100% yes. And this girl even messaged me and was like, the fact that it's 100% yes, like, we need to have a team meeting about this. And I was like, yes, we do. So because I've definitely been feeling like just more stressed out in general. Like, I don't always feel like my baseline is just like happy and chill. Like, that sounds kind of like dark, not in like a cry for help way, but just, I don't know, I just feel way more stressed out these days. Like I feel like little things can get me more stressed out now, and I think it's just because we have this overlying vibe of like the world's ending, and like there's just not really a support system in the sense of like, I don't know, I just feel like there's not really strong leadership in this world right now, because it's just corrupt, and like, people at the top don't care about the people. They care about money, they care about jet, they care about private island. So I think what really helps me, and I'm not saying that in a sense of like, oh yeah, well, I'm cured, this is what has helped me. It's like, this is what helps me, because especially when and I know a lot of you have gone back into lockdown, low-key, lucky. But I feel like, when I'm just in the house by myself for too long, I can definitely tend to overthink and just feel really stressed out, even though it's like, I'm in my house chilling, like, bitch, I'm running a bubble bath for myself. I should not feel like this anxiety, but sometimes I just do. So what helps me is actively taking time to rest and recharge, and I guess practice self-care, because, and this is kind of like what I was talking about in the last episode of 2021, like when I was talking about breaking habits or cycles. For example, sometimes I'll think, oh, I'm taking a break from work, or like I'm taking a break from just thinking by scrolling on TikTok, and sometimes that's just like a great quick little relief, and I can go back to what I'm doing, and it's like fine. But you know when you just get in that scroll loop and it's like you're not even enjoying what you're looking at, and it's just like you just keep scrolling. It's like nothing is entertaining you, nothing's funny, and it's just like and it's like it's not the algorithm, bitch, it's you. Like it's not like nothing's funny today, it's like none of this is just amusing me. So it's times like that when I'm like, okay, I actually think I need a break, because obviously like I'm not doing something quote unquote productive. Like it's not like I feel like working right now or going to the gym. So like I must need a break. Like this is most likely my body telling me I need to chill. So let me actively take time to check in with myself and ask like, what do I actually need right now? Like, am I feeling lonely? Like, do I need to call a friend or make plans with a friend? Am I feeling tired? Like sometimes I just need to lay down for a little bit, and sometimes it seems very like impractical or like, oh, lazy, like, oh, it's like, I don't know, like maybe later today I'll feel like that, and I'm like, oh, I should probably lay down for a little bit. But it's like, oh, it's a Monday, like I should be productive, like I want to be on the grind. And it's like, okay, but you'll be able to more fully like be productive and like feel good if you actively take time to rest. And I feel like it's like, it's not a waste of time, because if you're just to constantly push yourself through whatever it is you have to do, whether it's like working or studying or the gym even, it's like the quality of your work or your workouts or whatever is just going to decrease so much, versus if you just take, I don't know, a couple days off from the gym, or you take 30 minutes in the middle of the day to take a little nap. Like the rest of your day or your next workout or whatever is going to be so much more invigorating because you actually took time to like rest. And I remember really learning that, like actually physically from that example of working out, like 2017 when I first started going to the gym regularly and like was learning about lifting and things like that. I was just really excited at that time. So like I would never really take days off because I just was so enthusiastic. I wanted to build my butt. Like I was just like, yes, we need to go. Like it felt wrong to take a day off. And then I just remember feeling so tired and just having the worst workouts like a few days in a row. And I remember telling this to Sonia, who I lived with at the time, and she was like, well, have you rested? Like she did cross country in high school, and like, she knows the facts. She was like, well, you need to rest, bitch. And I was like, oh my God, I never even thought of that. So I just remember taking like, I think it was a couple days off. And then my next workout was so much better. And I was like, wow, that's really all I needed. But that same kind of, I don't know, mindset can be applied to really anything. And it's hard because, we live in a society, but, we do live in this world where the grind is so normalized. And even if you're not following those, alpha male pages, which I hope the fuck you're not, at least you're also listening to this. So maybe like balance, but even like, I don't know, maybe watching my story of my 3 beverages at 5 a.m. would be like maybe some days that's motivating to someone. And maybe some days that's like, it feels like, yeah, I should do that. Or like, and I know because sometimes for me, like watching someone's story when they're at the gym, when it's like my off day or I'm tired that day, it's like disheartening, it's not motivating, it's disheartening. And that's just like a little way where we're like, it's okay. It's not like I'm like reading a tweet that's like, yeah, grind, I'll sleep when I'm dead. But it's like, yeah, like, wow, they're at the gym. Like, I should probably be doing that too. And it's like, bitch, you're allowed to chill and take a rest. Like, you actually need to. So that's something that is very important. And same thing with yoga. I actually have not done yoga these past couple of days. I'm behind on the yoga with Adrian journey, full disclosure. But, sometimes I would like stretch after the gym, but it was kind of a half-assed stretch. Like I would take out my yoga mat, but I would like be on my phone. Sometimes I would like FaceTime people, and sometimes that's fine. But if my goal is to actually build a yoga practice where I'm like taking time to fully enjoy the benefits of yoga and not just like, oh, I want to stretch, my hips while I talk to a friend or like watch TikTok. And again, sometimes I do that and that's fine. But like, if I want to build a practice, I have to actively like consciously, mindfully put my phone on do not disturb, set the mood, and actively like how many times can I say that? Be in the moment, in my body, and like focus on what I need to focus on. So let me know what you think about that. I found this article from Positive Psychology. Okay. Wait. Yeah, given the fast-paced and hectic schedules most of us keep, a base level of anxiety, stress, and unhappiness is the new norm. You may not even realize it, but this tendency to get sucked into the past and the future can leave you perpetually worn out and feeling out of touch with yourself. Living in the present moment is the solution to a problem you may not have known you had. So, wait. Using present moment awareness to stop worrying. Raise your hand if you are a worrier. Also, I hear this like buzzing sound, and I hope it's not affecting. Oh, God. Cultivate, so this is what they say to do. Cultivate unself-consciousness. Let go and stop thinking about your performance. Okay, that's kind of, it's like I get it, but sometimes tips like that can be a little hard. Like, it reminds me of like, trust your intuition. And it's like, how the fuck do I do that? Like, it's like an idea, but it's not really like a step-by-step, like, actual something to practice, you know, unless you know what it means. I don't know. Anyway, number 2, practice savoring. Avoid worrying about the future by fully experiencing the present. So that could look like chewing your food more, you know, or like sometimes, I guess this is kind of like mindfulness, but like with coffee, sometimes I have to ask myself, like recently I've been trying to do this, like I'm like, oh, I go to make a coffee. It's like I ask myself, do I actually feel like I need that right now? Or do I just am I just used to the habit of it? Or do I just want the vibe of like a warm beverage? Number 3, focus on your breath. Yes, bitch. Allow mindfulness to make you more peaceful and smooth. Oh, and smooth your interactions with others. Great. Yeah, but focusing on your breath really helps. Number 4, find your flow. Make the most of your time by losing track of it. That's when creative projects can really be helpful. And just doing, well, I'm gonna get to that. But sometimes like painting, or like even when I was taking off my nails the other day, it was just like I was so in the moment that I really, I don't know, it was almost like a meditation. Like, it was relaxing. Also Sudoku for me, such a good like nervous system regulator, because I'm just so in the moment, like flow state, like just doing my little puzzle. Yeah. Sorry, the camera keeps shutting off. Also, like, I need a new camera. Improve your ability to accept, move towards what is bothering you rather than denying or running away from it. Enhance your engagement. Work on reducing moments of mindlessness and noticing new things to improve your mindfulness. And then they have another section, using yoga to connect with the present moment. Yep. As yoga teacher and enthusiast Kelly Yoakley says, the path to presence is through our mind-body connection. Our path is through our breath. The breath is always the here and now. It is the ultimate present moment. Our breath is our constant connection to the here and now, and our presence is rooted in its flow. 5 exercises to strengthen present moment awareness. Do a mindful body scan, starting at your toes, working your way up, and just like relaxing all those areas of your body. And I will link this article below if you want to read it in depth, but I'm just kind of like going over it. Write in a journal or morning pages. There goes that buzzing sound turning off finally. Let me know if you do morning pages. My family does. I never really started. I tried it once and I just was like, okay, so sorry. I know, like, I don't know. My mom says it's something that seems so on brand for me. It's just like, I feel like I don't feel like adding any more things to my routine. I can only do so much. Okay, like, bro, I'm just one thing at a time. I'm trying to do this yoga, like. With that being said, when I do journal, it is helpful, but it's just, yeah. So sorry to be off brand. Okay, visualize your daily goals. It's like, if you have anxiety, like, See yourself undertaking each goal and completing each goal today. Get as much detail as you can in your visualization so it feels real and within your reach. I think the thing with that is, like I said, how anxiety, like sometimes when I have to do something, it's like I'll just be thinking about it for like all the days before I have to go do it. But I think what they mean by this, or like what I could do differently, is like imagining myself completing, I don't know, whatever it is I have to do. Or like, I don't know, the end goal. Like sometimes I have to go do something, or it's like a beauty appointment and it's just like, oh, I don't feel like sitting there for an hour or multiple hours, like, but then it's like, well, then I get the benefit of having my hair done or doing this, or like if I'm scared to fly, so often it helps to like think of what I'm going to do after my flight. And it's like, instead of just being this block, like, oh my God, I'm just going to be in that moment forever and it's never going to end, or like, oh my God, I'm just anticipating this so much. It's like, time's going to go by either way. I've probably done this before. If I haven't done it before, it's like, oh, fun new experience, yay. And it's like, what am I going to do after this? Or, oh, now I get to enjoy the benefit of sitting there or whatever. So I think that's helpful. Visualizing completing your tasks, not just the tasks, but finishing them. Take a mindful nature walk. Sorry, I'm trying to not make fun of this. Like, I'm really not, because this is a really helpful thing, but I'm just like, take a mindful walk through the treacherous streets of downtown LA. Just kidding. Taking a walk outside is very helpful. Walking in the city is a good time. But yeah, making it mindful. So, hearing the sounds, breathing in the fresh air, etc. Conduct a mindful review of your day to help, or it can be easy to get tired and worn out by the end of the day and let things slip. To help you keep that mindful tone at the end of the day, try this exercise. Towards the end of your day, perhaps after you finish all of your must-dos for the day or right before heading to bed, take a few minutes to do a review of your day. Think back to the start of your day and remember your mindfulness exercise that kicked it all off. Think about how it made you feel. Think through the rest of your day, being sure to note any particularly mindful moments or memorable events. Take stock of your mood as you move through your daily routine. One of my goals this year, I guess you could say goals, but is just, or something I try to let go of from the year before, is monotony. Because if you know me, bitch, I get very stuck in my routine. And while I think that's a strong trait in a lot of ways, it can also leave me feeling sometimes like bored or even lonely, or just not really excited or like passionate about life. And I think that also goes into like not really feeling creative, which I don't really feel like that right now. I'm actually like on a roll, I feel, currently with like content and stuff. Like I do feel excited, but just in terms of day-to-day life, like I can get very stuck in the routine. Again, it's not always a bad thing, but I think mindfulness can help a lot with that, because it's like, even if I don't necessarily do anything drastically different in my day, it's like the feeling of it will be different if I'm appreciating different parts of it. And I think that was a big theme for a lot of people in 2020, and maybe it is still for you now, just in general, but especially, when you are in lockdown, you are spending a lot more time at home, or even if, now you're working from home or doing school from home and you didn't used to before, it's like sometimes harder to find different exciting things throughout the day, because it's like, okay, I wake up in my home, I do what I have to do in my home, and then I go to sleep in my home. So you have to, again, like make time to like leave the house, try a new coffee shop, just go on a walk, take a different route, etc. It doesn't always have to be like crazy things or like even spending money, but it's just your mindset. With that being said, another one of my goals for this year was to try a new restaurant, bar, or coffee shop per month. I feel like per month is reasonable. Per week, it's like, sometimes it can add up, or like, honestly, sometimes you just don't have time. But I did already try one this month. I went to Pump, which is Lisa Vanderpump's restaurant. It was actually really cute. There wasn't too many people there, so we had this whole back section to ourselves, which was just really added to the vibe. But yeah, I would go back. I liked it. So yeah, we can cross that off the list. Like, what's going to be the next one? Anyway, let me know thoughts on mindfulness. Is it something that you would like to practice more of? Do you feel like your days can get pretty monotonous throughout the regular, work school week or not? It's interesting because sometimes topics like this, it's like, it just feels kind of, it's like, okay, we've done that. And it's funny because it reminds me also of yoga, especially like yoga with Adrian's videos, where when she says things like, okay, we're going to do downward dog, and like some of you have done downward dog a million times, it's like not a new thing, but try to find something this time around that you've never noticed before, or like pretend like this is your first time doing it. And the same can be true, I feel like, for some of these ideas like mindfulness or like practicing positivity, not in like a fake positive way, but like, you know what I mean? Hopefully. Because I just feel like, I don't know, probably 2016 and before, I was super into like just, reading all the spiritual books, the 4 Agreements, the Power of Now, reading things about mindfulness and whatever. And I just feel like, okay, I learned what I need to learn from that, moving on. And that's not, like, obviously I still do yoga, meditation, like, it's still something I try and practice, but like to it's not like I've never read this, but to read things again about it, it kind of reminds me. And it's like I am a different person now. I've grown in a lot of ways. So sometimes I'll have a fresh perspective on some of these topics that I feel like I already, I don't know so much about, or like, oh, I already read all the main books about it, or like whatever, so it's kind of interesting. So let me know, I guess, if you like when I talk about that kind of stuff. Anyway, yeah, that's the vibe. How does anyone get anything done throughout the day? Like, seriously. Bro, the days just go by so fast. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to talk about today. Yeah, I kind of feel like this episode was all over the place, but hopefully you gained something from it or related in some way. I really would like to read your thoughts about anything we discussed today. You can also message me on IG. I love to hear your guys' feedback, and it's just, I feel like what makes our community so strong is that we all go through such similar things, and like, I just love when we can share those experiences or like our own lessons we've learned or whatever. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to share on your IG story so I can repost you, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, everyone.